Today we are going to look at dma060 and we're going to start with section 13. Up to this point, when we have been factoring, we have been using ax squared plus bx plus c. We make sure that our quadratic is written in this form. The difference for section 13 is instead of just factoring, because we usually take this and we factor it until we have an answer that's in two parentheses. What's going to happen now is we're going to have equals and 0 at the end. So if I put equals 0 here, what we're looking to do is to find the solutions for this quadratic. So we now want to solve what x is equal to. In order to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to come up with answers. We're going to end up with x equals, and we're going to have two solutions. We're going to have, I'm just going to call it solution 1, and we're going to have solution 2. We're going to come up with two answers. Solution 1 and solution number 2. All right. So instead of just factoring, we're going to give the answers. So anytime you see an equation with the equals now, we're going to solve it. Now, let me look at a couple of different ways this could be written. Let me first start by, let's do a problem where we have to actually factor ourselves. So if we take x squared minus 5x minus 24, and it's equal to 0, it's already in the correct order. We see if there's a GCF, and there's not. So we're then going to factor this into two parentheses. Each is going to start with an x. A times c, 1 times negative 24, gives me negative 24 divided by x, second table. Our middle number is a negative 5. So I look to find my negative 5, and I get two solutions, a positive 3 and a minus 8. So here I'm going to have a plus 3 and a minus 8. I have now factored the polynomial. Now that I have factored it, what I need to do is determine what answer makes this equal to 0 and what makes this equal to 0. Now, I'm going to show you longhand how to do it, but you will start learning how to just kind of do this on your own in your head. I would take my x plus 3 and set it equal to 0, and I'm going to take my x minus 8 and set it equal to 0. You're going to take the first parenthesis and the second parenthesis both and make them equal to 0. Because if this is a parenthesis, 0 times this is 0, or this answer times 0 is 0. To get the x alone, move your 3. X equals negative 3. Here I move my 8 to the other side. So when I give my answers, I would just simply give negative 3 and then a comma with a positive 8. That's how they're looking for us to write our solutions. So sometimes you're given the polynomial, you factor it, and then get the answers. What if you were given this? When I look at this, I'm going to go, yay, they already did the hard work. They already did all the factoring. Because isn't this two parentheses times each other equals 0? When you have your polynomial, you have to factor it, then set it equal to 0. So this has already had the work done of the factoring. All I have to do is say y minus 6 equals 0 and 2y plus 7 equals 0. So we're going to solve each side for y. The first answer is a positive 6. For the next one, we're going to move the 7 over. Then we need to divide by the 2. So y equals negative 7/2. So my solution here for y, it's equal to a 6 and a negative 7/2. And that would be your final solution. So sometimes it's already going to be factored for you. You might have something that looks like this. And if it looks like this one, m, and then we have 3m minus 1 equals 0. Now, this is being multiplied times the parenthesis. So what that means is this m, if I took that factor and set it equal to 0, it's just 0. Here, I'm going to move my 1 over, divide both sides by 3, and here m is 1/3. So my two solutions here are 0 and 1/3. Now, if I were to be given, let's say, something such as x, 3x plus 7. Now, this one is not like the one we just had. This one was set equal to 0. On this one, what do you notice? We have a factor, then it says equals 6. Before I can do anything on this problem, I need to come back and put it in the correct descending order for the polynomial equal to 0. Once I have done that, then I'm going to go through the process to factor. So here I'm going to first need to distribute. So I'm going to have 3x squared plus 7x. The 6 that's on this side, we're going to move the 6 to the left, so we would minus 6, and then it would be equal to 0. Now it's in the correct order. Is there a greatest common factor? No, there's not. I'm going to factor this into two terms. That'll be equal to 0. They start with x. Since I have an a, I'm going to remember to go ahead and write down my divided by 3. 3 times negative 6 gives me negative 18. So when y equals, I'm going to clear and do my negative 18 divided by x. Second table, I'm looking for my middle number, which is a positive 7. So that gives me a 9 and a minus 2. Now, if I can simplify, I need to simplify these. This evenly goes into 9, so that's going to be an x plus 3. Now, I'm going to recommend when we're in section 13. In section 13, if that can be reduced, you would reduce it. This will not reduce, so I'm going to ask you to leave it in the form of a fraction. The reason I'm saying that is when you write down your answers, I'm not going to always, personally, I don't come back and write everything equal to 0. But do you see how some answers came out fractions? Because if we had done bottoms up on this, we'd have to rewrite and move everything over. What is true about this parenthesis? If I have x plus 3, what number plus 3 gives me 0? A negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 would be 0. Here, what number minus 2/3 would give me 0? That would be a positive 2/3. So you'll get to the point when you see these, when you have it already factored and you left it in the fraction form instead of doing bottoms up, you can just give what is the opposite, and that's going to be your solutions for that. Okay, let me do two more of these, and then we can move on into our next section. Okay, let's say we have 2y cubed equals 18y. Okay, it's not in the right order. I need to take the 18y and move it to the left. So when I move that to the left, it's going to become minus 18y, and then it would be equal to 0. When I look at this, it's in descending order. And then I want to ask myself, is there a common factor? Yes, there is. We have a common factor of a 2 and a y. When I factor that out, I'm left with y squared minus 9 equals 0. I can factor this. This, as we see, is going to be a difference of squares. It's going to factor into two terms. 1 times -9 is -9. So here, when we clear, we're going to have -9 divided by x. Then we're going to have second table. There was not a middle number. So since there's not a middle number, we're looking for a 0. So that gives me a +3 and a -3. So that's a y +3 and a y -3. When I give my solutions, it was cubed, so there's going to be 3 answers for this one. This one is going to have 2y would be equal to 0, so 2 times what is 0? 0. What do you add to 3 to get a 0? You have a -3. Y -3, that means I would need a +3 for that to be a 0. And we will do one more. Last one. If we have, let's say, 5y squared equals 20. I need to move the 20 to the left side, so that will be a -20 equals 0. The common factor for this would be a 5, and then I would be left with y squared minus 4. We're going to factor the y squared minus 4 into two terms. It is a difference of squares. We're going to use the -4 here on the calculator. So -4 divided by x, second table, and we're looking for the 0. We have a 2 and a -2. So we're going to have a +2 and a -2. So my solutions, now here there is not a letter with the 5, it's just a 5. So there's nothing to do with that. The previous one, there was a variable, so that variable was the 0. Here there is no variable. So we only have two answers. What +2 is 0? -2. What -2 is 0? +2. -2, +2. And then that's it, you're done, okay? Now what I want to do is we are going to talk about section 14. Now, when you first look at section 14, there's two ways that you can do it. You can do it longhand, and if you do it longhand, you're going to come up with an equation, and your equation would be in this form, set it equal to 0, and then you're going to solve for x. That's one way that we can go about doing section 14. Section 14 is all problem solving. In this section, I like to make it as easy for you as possible. So I'm going to recommend that we not do these longhand. I'm going to show you how we can do this. We're going to use the calculator, and we're going to find the intersection of lines. So we will, in our way that we're going to do it, is we're going to set up an equation, and then we're going to use the calculator to solve for intersection of lines. And that is going to be the simplest and the best way to go about doing these, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here, section 14, because I want to pull some of the examples like you have that will be here in your, and look, there's only 12 questions here. I'm going to click and kind of go through a couple of these, and I'm going to try to pick the ones that I know are ones like you're going to see on the test. Let's give this just a second to pull up. Okay, well, let's take this one. The perimeter of the quadrilateral is 46 centimeters. Find the length of each side. So if you're finding the perimeter, you're going to add all the sides. So what I'm going to do is take each side here, and we're going to add those together. So, and I'll have to toggle back and forth a time or two. So we have an x plus 7 and an x plus 2. So we have x plus 7, we have an x plus 2, We have an x squared minus 2x, and we have a 3x minus 3. And we were told that the perimeter is 46. All right, so when we use this method, we are going to write our equation. So this is adding all four sides. It is equal to the perimeter, which is 46. What we are going to do now is the left-hand side. I am not even going to ask you to combine like terms. We're not even going to do that. We're going to make this super simple. We're going to type the left side on y1, and we're going to type the right side on y2. Okay? So let's come to our calculator and go to y equals, and we're going to clear both of these rows. On the first one, I'm going to do x plus 7 plus x plus 2, x plus 2 plus x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 3. Let me double check. Okay. Now I want each of you to do this with me. So right now, pick up your calculator and please type in that row for y1. You need to do these steps with me so that you can get the practice. It's not going to make sense if you just watch me. I want you to key it in so you'll understand what I'm doing. We're then going to go down to y2. On the right side of the equation was the number 46. That's the perimeter. So take a moment, and I want everybody to get that keyed in. Once everything is typed in, the next step that we have is we're going to press the button here that says graph. When you press graph, I automatically want you to get in the habit of pressing zoom, and then number 6 is the standard. Well, hang on. Here we go. Zoom, and then I'm going to press, and you can just press it on the keypad, number 6. That's going to give you the standard view. So we type this in on Y1, Y2. So let's see. Type left side on Y1. You're going to type right side on Y2. You're going to press graph, and you're going to start with zoom 6. Now, what we're looking for is we want to see where the two lines cross. First, we're going to do zoom 6. If we do not see where it intersects, we're then going to do zoom 0. If we still do not see where it intersects, we're going to do zoom 3, and we're going to press enter. Okay? So let's come back to the graph. We did zoom 6. We see a blue line, but we don't see both graphs. So we're now going to press zoom, and then I want you to press 0. The function is what they call zoom fit. Now we see the blue line, and we're going to see the red line appear on the screen. So we only have to do zoom 6 and then zoom 0, and we're fine on this one. Now, when we do perimeter, we're looking for where the two lines cross. They cross both here and here. Can we have a negative length? No, we can't have a negative length. We have to have a positive length. So we're not going to look on this side. This is not the point we're going to intersect. We're going to find this point. How do I go about finding where it intersects? So we did graph, zoom 6, zoom 0, and I'm going to put here, need to see where both lines intersect. Then we're going to now use the keystrokes second trace, and we'll do that together. We're going to do second, and we're going to choose trace, and we're going to choose number 5, intersect. Number 5, intersect. When we do this, the way that we move to this little blinking thing here, once we did second trace 5, we're going to use the arrow button to move the cursor to the point of intersection. It doesn't have to be exactly on it, it can be near it. Mine went a little past, that's fine. So second trace number 5, we're going to use the arrow to move the little asterisk to the point of intersection. Once we do that, we are then going to press enter 3 times. That's going to give us our solution for x equals. So once we moved it, it says first curve. I press enter, it's going to say second curve. I press enter, it's going to say guess. I press enter again. When you press enter 3 times, it's going to give you the word intersection. X is 5 when Y is 46. So my solution is, for this problem, X equals 5. So in this case, X is equal to 5. We'll go back through these steps again. We'll do it on numerous problems. Let's look back at the original problem. It asks you side 1, X plus 7, is how many centimeters? You do not want to type in 5. It did not say what is X equal to. It says what is the length of side 1, and they identified it as X plus 7. So in this case, when we're getting our solutions, what happens is every X is a 5. If this is the side 1, what is 5 plus 7? That would give us 12. When they ask us for side 2, it's going to be 5 plus 2. That answer is going to be a 7. For side 3, we're going to have 5 squared minus 2 times 5. 5 squared is 25. 25 minus 10, that answer would be a 15. The other side would be 3 times 5, which is 15. And 15 minus 3, that answer would also be a 12. So once you get the answer for the X, you may have to plug it into, in this case, the formulas for each of these different parts of your polynomial. Oh, now like this one. This one already gives you the formula. When an object is thrown upward from the top of a 96-foot building with an initial velocity of 80 feet per second. They didn't have to tell you all that because they used it in the formula. You don't have to come up with it. The height of the object after t seconds is given by this quadratic equation. Height equals negative 16. I'm going to use x's, x squared plus 80x plus 96. When will the object hit the ground? Okay, so let's write down this equation. Negative 16, 80, negative 16, 80, 96, and it said equals h. If they ask you when the object hits the ground, what's the height of the ground? That would be 0. So for this one, the equation's already here. We're going to type this in on y1, type this in on y2. Okay, so let's do that together. Let's all go to y equals, press clear, negative 16x squared plus 80x minus 96. Go to your second row, clear it, and type in your 0. So everybody take a moment, type that in. You type in your equation on y1 and then y2. The next thing, oh, wait a minute. I mistyped it, y'all. We have a plus 80 and a plus 96. I think I wrote the wrong number. Here we go. That's supposed to be a plus. Make that a plus and let me come back to the calculator, because if not, I will get a wrong answer because I didn't type it in right. Here we go, backspace. Okay. Make sure you corrected yours. I mistyped that sign there. Our next step is we're going to press graph. Now, when we press graph, if you look back at the steps I wrote a moment ago, Y1, Y2, graph, the next thing I'm going to do is start with zoom 6. If you start trying to zoom around and you're not at the point of origin, you're going to kind of get all over the place. So we're going to start with every problem in section 14. After you do graph, automatically do the zoom in 6. Now, here I see my red line, which is at 0, and I see my parabola. I don't need to worry about the vertex of it. What I need to see is where it crosses. We're talking about the height is 0, and how long will it take to hit the ground? To the left is negative. Can time be negative? No, time has to be positive. So this is what we're looking for. We don't need to do any other zooming. We're going to do second trace, choose number 5, and then we're just going to start pressing the right cursor until, and notice the numbers here will be changing around and about. So I need to keep pressing it until in the X, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This number, we need to press it till it gets somewhere around about the 6. Okay, see if I go here, I don't see it, and I only catch it that one time. Now I'm going to press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. When I see the word intersection, my answer here is exactly 6. Usually on this problem, oftentimes it might be a 3.8, a 6.2. It might be something, and it might ask you to round to the nearest 10th place. In this case, we just simply get the 6. So here our X is equal to 6 seconds. The sum of a number and its square is 210. The sum of a number and its square. Okay. The sum means you're going to add the sum of the number is x, and its square. Its square would be the x squared, is 210. Find the number, parentheses, so that means it might be plural, okay? So let's put our 210. This is our equation. The sum of a number and its square is 210. Find the numbers. The left side, we're going to type on Y1. The right side, we're going to type on Y2. Y equals, clear. We have x plus x squared. On the second row, clear, and we're going to type in 210. So everybody type in your equation. Next, we're going to press graph. We want to start at the beginning point. So we always just automatically, let's let this become a habit. Zoom 6 is first. And if that happens, because sometimes that'll happen on you, zoom 6. Okay, I do not see both lines. So my next zoom is I'm going to do zoom and then 0. And when you see this little circle here, that lets you know it's processing. So don't keep trying to press buttons when that's happening. Oh, very good. Now, we see both lines, but can we see where they cross on either side? No. So let's do the other zoom. We haven't done this one yet. It is zoom. We're going to zoom out, which is number 3. So zoom 3. Now notice, when I do zoom 3, nothing happens. This is the one of the zooms that after you do zoom 3, you have to press enter. If you don't press enter, it won't do anything. Now I can see both the red and the blue line and the location where they intersect. Now for this problem, the previous ones were time and the length. We had to use only the positive. This is number sense, and if you notice, didn't they say find the numbers, plural? So when we are looking for this, we're going to find not one, but both answers. So second, trace number 5. I'm going to do the one on the left first. So let's move left. And notice, you don't have to be perfectly on it, but I'm near it. I'm going to go enter 1, 2, 3 times until I see the word intersection. My number for x is negative 15 when y is 210. So negative 15 is one of the answers. I'm going to repeat those same steps. Second, trace number 5. This time, I'm going to press the arrow to the right. And actually, you can press and hold, and it'll move it on across a little bit further. Okay, let's keep on going. I need to get a little bit closer to it. And then I'm going to press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3, until I see intersection. Now, when y is 210, my x is a positive 14. And that would be my two solutions, negative 15 and the positive 14. Some of your problems, you might need both answers if it is a number sense problem where it's not applying the values and where the value had to be a positive. Okay, we're going to do one more. Here, this is a good one. And this one is on the test. A ladder is leaning against a building so that the distance from the ground to the top of the ladder is 1 foot less than the length of the ladder. Ergo, here goes that equation, x minus 1. Find the length of the ladder is the x, if the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the building is 3 feet. So notice on their picture, this is not labeled. So we're going to need to label that bottom as being 3. If I were to sketch this, the ladder is x, this is x minus 1, and they told me the distance from the bottom of the ladder to the building was 3. This is a right triangle. When you look at the picture, there's a little square drawn there to let you know it's a right triangle. Anytime you have a right triangle, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, the A and the B are the two sides that form the 90-degree angle. The C is the diagonal. So what I have here is a 3 squared plus, now B is x minus 1. If I'm going to square B, I need to put a parenthesis around that x minus 1, then square it. The C is labeled with the letter x squared. So now we have our equation. We're going to type this in on y1. We're going to type this in on y2. Okay, so let's do that. Y equals, let's start with clear. We have 3 squared plus parenthesis x minus 1, close your parenthesis, square it. On y2, clear it, and we have just the x squared. So everybody take a moment and key that in. Our next step is to press graph. Now, do you see all these weird little tick marks? We might see what we need here, but if we do, we're not going to go with it. We're going to start with our zoom process. The whole zoom process is to start at zoom 6 first, let it load, and for this one, that's all we get. We don't get much, okay? Let that stop moving. When this stops moving, we're going to do our zoom 0. There, now the little circle for the processing quit. So zoom 0 is next. Okay, this gives us a much better image than what we had a few minutes ago. So zoom 6, zoom 0 was good. This is where it intersects. We're finding where it crosses. So we're going to do second, trace number 5, move the cursor to the right, somewhere near it. I'm going to press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3 until I see the word intersection. And x is equal to 5 when y is 25. So x equals 5. Now, in this problem, we want to know the length of the ladder. What is the ladder labeled? X. So we just give the answer 5. We don't come back to that formula and do anything up here. All we do is we're solving for the length of the ladder. The ladder is the x. And in this case, the x is the 5. Sometimes your answer is just the number you find, but as in this problem, we had to plug in our value in order to get our solutions.